So yeah, hi, I'm Dave Beck, designer of Distilled, also owner of Paverson Games. We're here at Origins. I want to show you a little bit about Distilled. Now, there's a lot of great games out there about making beer, making wine, nothing about making whiskey, gin, and rum, and I wanted to change that. This is not a worker placement game like many of those types of games though. This is a card-based game. In this game, you're going to be fulfilling recipes, you're going to be managing your resources, you're going to be building tableaus, and you're also going to be mitigating a little bit of luck. So let's take a look down at the table, I'll show you a little bit how to play. Now, you're going to inherit this old abandoned distillery from one of 18 different long-lost relatives in the game that you're going to be able to choose from. They come from all around the world. They have different spirits that they make. They have different powers that they have as well. It's going to be your job to bring this distillery back to its former glory. The problem is, you only know how to make moonshine and vodka at the beginning. You have to unlock the other sorts of recipes throughout the game. And this is actually only one of 8 different recipe list tasting flights that you get to choose from to play as for a table. Now, let's see here. I'm going to flip it over to this side. Now, like any good Euro, we're going to go over here and you're actually going to purchase some things from the market. You're going to buy some upgrades to be able to make your distillery more efficient. You're going to buy some ingredients that are premium to go into your batch. And finally, maybe some fancy bottles and barrels to sell them. After you purchase them from the market, you're going to come back to your distillery, and this is where the real magic happens. You're going to dump yeast, water, and some sort of ingredients into your giant tub on the side of your board called a washback. Now, we're going to try and make whiskey today. Whiskey says that it requires at least 2 grains to be able to make that. So we have 2 grains in our washback right now, and so we're going to try and make whiskey. First though, we need to let the yeast eat the sugars and turn it into alcohol. We're going to have it ferment. We're going to count the number of sugar cards. We have 2, and we're going to add alcohol cards. 2. If we had 3, we'd add 3. Now at this point we've made beer. That's great, but we want to make whiskey. So we're going to put this in the still and let it shuffle up. We're going to brew and bubble this in the still. And a really interesting thing is that when you distill alcohol in the real world, the first part of the run and the last part of the run that comes off the still is actually toxic. It'll kill you. It's called the heads and the tails. It's how they make nail polish remover. Distillers know this, so they remove it. They take it and they make a cut. We're going to do that too. We're going to pull the top card and the last card from the deck. We're going to put it into our pantry though, because you reuse that. Distillers reuse this in future batches as well, and we are too. The problem is that might be our grain. We might have just pulled the ingredients we needed for our recipe out of the batch and busted. We've taken a chance. Now we could have put more grains in here to ensure that we would have been successful. We could have hired upgrades to be able to allow us to put cards back into our batch, but we didn't. We're pushing our luck. So let's see what happens. Okay, we're all safe there. Oh my gosh, we made it. So as we can see, we still have both of our grains here. Again though, if I had busted, that's okay, because if we go over to my recipes, we can see that I can always fall back on making moonshine and vodka. So even if I had busted and not made whiskey, I have something to make and distill. It's my choice to how much I want to push my luck or mitigate it 100%. Now when we do make a whiskey, it goes to the warehouse. It sits in a barrel and ages round after round. Every round it sits in the warehouse, I'm going to add a flavor card without looking at it, face down. Let's say I age this whiskey for three rounds. Then I'm ready to sell it. I'm going to put it in a fancy bottle. Perhaps it's this fancy cat bottle here. And I'm going to share with the table how I've made this whiskey with delicious notes of caramel, toasted marshmallow. Crap, manure got in there as well. It's okay though. It doesn't hurt you. It's not negative. I could have had an upgrade that said I get to pick my flavors. I didn't. That's fine. Because what's most important is the more flavors I have, the more points I get at the end of the game when I sell this. And that's exponential. So if I have 4 or 5, it's even more points as well. When I do sell it, I put it into that bottle. I earn some money. I also go up the point tracker as well, earning more points. And then finally, I take that label that's been sitting on my barrel and I proudly place it at the top of my board for a one-time game-breaking bonus. It also counts towards awards and goals as well. You do that for 7 rounds, making 7 different spirits, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner. This plays 1 to 5 players, so there's a fantastic solo mode. And the last thing I'll say is we go for a top shelf experience here, so you're going to notice that there's game trays that come right in the box. Things to be able to sort your coins, sort your cubes, and even a large one that actually will help you sort all, a barrel-shaped one that helps you sort all of your labels. So that's Distilled. Here we are at Origins. This is actually the very first debut for in the States for us to be able to have this game on sale for people to play and buy, and join all the Kickstarter backers that backed it as well.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about the next game from Paverson Games, Luthier, The Art of the Instrument. This is going to be something that's going to be kickstarting, launching in 2024, probably May or June of that year. It's going to be a slightly heavier weight game than Distilled is, but still focused on that value that we hold true, that is theme and mechanics kind of informing each other, and really focusing on the art and the component quality as well. In this game, you are a family member of a luthier family member. Luthier means to be a crafter of stringed instruments or repairer of stringed instruments. You're not only doing that, but also making brass and woodwind, percussion and keyboard instruments, and you're making them for famous patrons, Bach, Beethoven, perhaps the Medici family, perhaps some performers as well. This is in the height of the golden age of classical music where you are crafting these instruments. The mechanic is that it is hidden bidding worker placement. The family is made up of a number of little chips, circular chips that on the bottom side of them have a number, 1 through 5. That represents your skill. As the master luthier, as the head of the household, you are a 5, and the 1 is maybe your kid that just started yesterday in the workshop. You're going to send workers out to the board to do different tasks. But the key is, when I send a worker out, it is face down. You cannot see what skill worker I sent. Someone else might go to the same place, and maybe multiple people. Those chips stack up. When we go to resolve, we resolve in the order that those arrive there, getting first pick, except skill bumps to the front of the line. So if I send a 5, even at the end of the turn, my 5 worker is going to go to the front and having first pick. But you never know what someone is sending to a certain place. All the while, of course, you're trying to craft instruments at your own workshop as well. So trying to determine how you're going to fulfill these recipes that are the instruments themselves, where you're going to send your skilled workers, how are you going to upgrade their skill, whether that's going to be in performing or craft skill or just overall reputation. We're also very excited to announce that Vincent Dutrait will be the artist for the game. He'll be painting more than 30 different portraits of famous composers. This is all going to be historically accurate as well. So people that are fans of history or music, I think are going to find a really great connection with this game, especially if you like a good thinky strategy game as well.
This is We're Sinking. It's a 3-6 player semi-competitive game where you all are you're all crew members of a sinking ship under siege by one of these various enemies. You have Kraken, Sirens, the Megalodon Shark, Skull Sares, and some other cool enemies to go up against. But you're going to choose one of those at the beginning of each game and go up against them. They have special dice that they get to start with. We have the game set up here for the Kraken. They're pink dice. And there's 2 different ways to win the game. If you manage to take out the Kraken and save the ship, you want to be the pirate with the most, the highest value treasure in your hand at the end of the game. Additionally, the ship could sink, in which case you want to have the fewest cards in your hand. So you're light enough to get on the lifeboat and get away.
Okay.
So throughout the game...
So don't get too greedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Throughout the game, the ship is going to be sinking into the depths and losing layers.
That is cool.
4 different layers, and that basically kind of gives you kind of the sense of the urgency to kind of work together, hopefully, but ultimately you're going to be looking out for pirate number one, which is yourself,
right, obviously.
So the way folks do that is each round the Kraken's going to be rolling dice and doing damage to your ship. So, like knocking out cannons, adding a breach to your ship, adding some water to the ship, and then everyone's going to be taking their handy compass dials and deciding what tasks everyone wants to do.
Okay.
And that's a discussion amongst the players. So you can choose to bucket water, you can plunder treasure, patch breaches, or fire cannons. And so, for example, I could tell folks, guys, don't worry about bucketing. I'm gonna bucket water this round, and you guys can focus on some other things. We have a lot of breaches we need to patch up and some cannons we need to fix. So everyone will play their dials wherever they'd like, and then we all will reveal at the same time, and we see if there are any liars. You see right here, I indeed was lying. I'm going to grab the treasure for myself.
Okay.
And of course, other people could also have lied or just been honest and said, no, I'm going to steal too. In which case, I'm going to have to split this loot.
Okay.
If too many people go here, this loot's going to go overboard. No one gets it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as everything else goes, you're just going into these columns and fixing patches. Some patches you need to breaches you need to work together to patch up because they require more people.
More than one symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you don't patch these at the end of each round, you're going to be adding water to the ship. If too much water builds up over here, you're going to sink down a level.
Okay. So it's like as soon as a certain number of cards are here, then you remove a level on the ship?
Right.
Okay.
And then as far as firing cannons and things like that, you are getting all these dice to fire and hopefully land some hits on the Kraken. And the other thing that's not really, they have room to showcase on this table, but if you look over here on this table, each player has a different character they can choose to play as, which comes with their own unique starting item.
I like that.
Yeah. And there's also lots
It's got a very Sea of Thieves aesthetic.
Yeah, I get that. And then there's tons of other fun little items and creatures that you can find in the game that are just kind of buried in the watery depths. Whenever you do a bucket action, you just you'll grab one of these face down cards in the water column and just bring it into your hand, and then you discard a card from your hand. So you may get something really good in there. You may actually get something useful, or you could just end up with clear water instead, which is completely useless. It just weighs you down.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the gist of it. Game plays 3 to 6 players in a 45 to 90 minutes time space.
Is it in retail?
We had a successful Kickstarter in October.
Okay.
And so we're just getting ready to go into production.
Okay.
And hopefully coming to retail later this fall.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll be looking for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that ship mechanic is really neat.
Thank you. I forgot to mention too, there's hidden treasure inside the ship too that comes out whenever you lose a layer as well. And you can fight for those chests. Sometimes they have gems and treasure. Other times they have useful items to upgrade cannons and things like that to help save the ship.
Very cool. Great.
And then we also have Toppings, which is going to be our next game we do on Kickstarter, hopefully later this fall.
Thank you.
Just a game of fun toppings and pizza cutting extravaganza. The kind of loose theme is there's a party going on, and the restaurants deliver the pizza, and of course they messed up the toppings.
Right.
So now everyone has to kind of figure out how they're going to divvy up the slices here to get the toppings that they want, and none of the ones they hate.
Okay.
So each player has, out of the 8 toppings, there's going to be 2 that they really like, and they're going to get points for those, and then 2 that they hate, and then they're going to get negative points for those. And divvying up the pizza like this, everyone's going to get a stick, and you take turns cutting. And then...
so you go around the table and split?
Yeah,
okay.
You go around the table, you cut, and then the first player actually gets to cut twice. They get to be the first to cut and the last to cut, because they're going to have a little bit of a disadvantage in the next phase where you you get to choose a section that you want. They're going to go last in that.
Okay.
And then from there are dipping sauce powers and things like that where you can manipulate the toppings a little bit. You know, trade with players or pick toppings off, add toppings in, and things like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a fun casual.
And those components are really neat.
Yeah.
Those look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome. Anything else you wanted to show?
I think that's it. Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll be looking for it.
Awesome. Hope you have a good show.
Yeah, you too.
So right now what we're going to be doing is plays first with the lowest priority number. Play's going to pick one of the rows here, pick a single performer to schedule. Once they're scheduled, they're going to stay wherever they are. So let's take a look at Thelma real quick. For example, Thelma, if scheduled on Thursday, is only worth 3 points. Friday and Saturday, 4 points. Sunday, 3 points. Get the bonus. These are just minimums unless it says only is a restriction.
Okay.
Otherwise, like if it says if there are 2 comedy and 2 magic shows, that's just a minimum, as long as you have it at least anywhere on your schedule. And another thing that sometimes people miss is that, like if it says you get bonus points for scheduling only music shows on Saturday, for example, you can't put a multi-performer on Saturday because they're not just doing music, they're doing music and comedy.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So multi-performers you can't have 2 shows? Or?
You can have 2 performers. It's just if there's a restriction that says like Saturday only wants music shows, you're not going to want to have this multi-performer that does music and comedy, because that would break your restriction. You are not going to get the bonus points.
Okay.
Only if it says only.
Yeah, only. Yep. So we'll go around drafting these. So that if I take Thelma, this one goes away, and we refill. That's the open draft. Go around until we have 6 performers all scheduled. Look at our points. Get any negative points for divas. The person with the highest points wins. Yeah, I know.
It's still mine.
I'm going to play to move a tower 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. When I fill up 3 of these,
You get to fill for everyone you imprison, huh?
and then I'm going.
Is it?
I thought it was.
You may fill one of your empty
Oh.
no matter how many wizards you have.
Oh.
And then I'm going to move the guy in the top 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Then that moves up here, right?
It sure
Yeah,
does.
it does.